welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to bring you my middle grade March TBR. For the month of March, there are two booktubers that have announced that they're doing a middle grade month-long March readathon. There are a few challenges listed, so I will list them below and in this video. I have about 5 books for my middle grade March TBR. Of course, I have more to my TBR for the month of March, but this one I am just focusing on the middle grade that I'm gonna pick up. If any of you have been watching my channel, you will know that middle grade is actually a huge portion of what I read sometimes, just because my kids are 13 and 10, so I've got a 7th grader and a 4th grader. They're both in that middle grade range. One's starting to kind of move into the YA region, but he's a boy. So we're still in like the middle grade realm, which I love. So these are books that either my kids have read or ones that they're going to read here quickly. And so I'm one of those moms that loves to read my books with my kids that has to do with middle grade, or read it before they do, which rarely happens because I'm always behind and they're way ahead of me when it comes to middle grade reading. I will link 2 of the beautiful, awesome women that have started this March-long readathon. So we have Kristen from Books and Jams, and then I think her name is Katie from Life Between Chapters? Life Between Chapters, right? Anyways, I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but I will link both of their YouTube channels and their announcement videos down below. Without further ado, let's just get into this. First challenge in middle grade March is to read a nonfiction book or a book based on true events. For this, I'm gonna pick up The Boy on the Wooden Box by Leon Layson. Layson. This is actually a memoir, a middle grade memoir. This young boy at the time during World War II was a Jew. So this tells his actual story of what happened to him when he was a young boy back during World War II, right at the cusp where Germany was starting to kind of infiltrate and take over France and those type of areas. It tells his story, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be heartbreaking and sad, but I'm excited to get in this one because my oldest, Tyler, for one of his 7th grade reading English assignments, he had to read this book. He actually has already read this, and I'm really interested to see what this book is really all about. The next challenge for middle grade March is to pick up a book with non-human characters. So this could be anything from like dragons or animals or robots or whatever that are a particular main character. And for this, I'm gonna go with The Indian in the Cupboard by Lynn Reed Banks. So I hauled this a couple of months ago. My oldest read this back when he was in either 5th or 6th grade. So my 4th grader that's coming up in the ranks will be reading this shortly. I read this when I was a kid as well, and I remember liking it, but that was like 30 years ago. A lot's changed in 30 years, and I barely remember except for like the main focal point of this book. Also too, I've watched the movie, and how cool would it if they actually came out with a new movie with like the graphic effects that they can do nowadays. They need to do an Indian in the Cupboard redo, for sure. So I picked this one because technically this young boy, for a birthday present, gets a toy Indian, as well as his grandfather gives him this special skeleton key. He's a little upset that this is all he got for his birthday. He throws this little toy Indian into a cupboard, locks it with his grandfather's key, and lo and behold, the next time he opens it, the Indian comes out and he's alive. This realistic little Indian man, and of course the main character in this as well, become really good friends, and it's about the relationship that happens throughout this book, which I'm really excited. So of course, he's technically a non-human at first because he is a toy Indian. He's plastic, but he does turn into real life, so I'm just going with it. I really want to read it because I need to read it before my other kid does. The next challenge for middle grade March is to read a fantasy middle grade novel. For this, I'm going to pick up the 4th book in the Septimus Heap series, which is called Quest by Angie Sage. I've been really enjoying this particular series. It's got a lot of Harry Potter vibes. You can hear my dogs like scratching at the door. I want to kill them. I love them, but I want to kill them. This particular series has a lot of Harry Potter vibes. It's got wizards, it's got dragons, it's got magic, it's got magical families and whatnot. And so it's really hard not to keep referring to this as Harry Potter, but just the awesome characters and the world building and the way these families kind of work together and how much they love each other. It's just a great series. Pick it up. I love it. The next middle grade challenge is to read a book in verse. And unfortunately, I do not have any of these, and I'm not a big books in verse reader. I've come across a few, but I've actually just never really wanted to pick one up. They just don't appeal to me. So unfortunately, I don't have a book for this challenge. For this one, I'm just picking up a book that I want to, so I can at least have like 5 books in this challenge. And with that, I'm going with The Lost and Found, Witherwood Reform School. This is book number 2 by Obert Sky. I've already read the first one because my 4th grader, back when school officially started in September, they read the first book in their entire class. So I read it particularly during that month with my 4th grader. But there was also a sequel to it. And I had already picked it up because they were both on Amazon for really, really cheap. I figured this is a perfect time to pick up this sequel and catch up in this awesome, cute little world of these kids that are pretty much abandoned and stuck in this crazy school with weird creatures, and everyone's brainwashed, and these kids are trying to escape the entire time, as well as saving everyone else in the school. And the last challenge for Middle Grade March is to read a diverse book. So for this one, I'm going with Refugee by Alan Gratz. I am excited about this because it's got about 3 different short stories in it. It is pretty lengthy though. So 3 different stories, and each one is a young kid that is a refugee. The first story is about Joseph during Nazi Germany. That'll be a pretty good one. I love anything to do with World War II. The second book is about Isabel, who is a Cuban girl in 1994. We all know what was happening with Cuba in the 90s. We got a ton of refugees, so I'm excited to kind of read that book because it's going to bring a lot of memories back to me as being a kid in the 90s. And the last one is Muhammad, who in 2015 is a Syrian boy. So we've got a kid from like the Middle Eastern. For modern day stuff, we have a girl from Cuba in the 1990s. We have Joseph way back during World War II during Nazi Germany. So of course, all 3 of those characters in this entire book is nothing but diversity. I'm excited to get into this. I heard that our local high school, they actually recommended their freshman class read this as one of their books that for their English year, and everyone is ranting and raving and loving this, and I'm excited to get into it. And there you have it. Those are the 5 books that I'm going to try to get through the month of March for Middle Grade March Readathon. I'm excited because I'm finally catching up with a bunch of middle grades to get them out of the way of like books that either my kids have read or will be reading soon and which not. Also too, keep an eye out. I will be filming and uploading a official March TBR, which is gonna have more than just these 5 middle grade. But thank you so much for joining me. Also too, you can find me on Goodreads, and if you would like to find that, my link is down below. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.